Where are you from?
I'm from Korea.
India.
Bangladesh.
Thailand. China.
Malaysia.
Cambodia.
Myanmar.
Mongolia.
The Philippines.
Taiwan.
Indonesia.
Hong Kong. Sri Lanka.
Vietnam.
Japan.
I want like Westerner people to understand that we're all the same, you know. Our skin color doesn't matter. You know, it's the inside. Like our blood is red. It's the same. And I hope people could understand that not all Asians are bad drivers or eat cats and dogs, because it's just a really bad stereotype that's imprinted in people's head, you know? And as like people, when they grow up hearing these stereotypes, they begin to think that all Asians do this, and it's not really true.
I think if I was to say anything about Chinese people in New Zealand, I just want people in New Zealand to realize that it's the culture that's different. And it may, like, they may not like how Chinese people act. Like, they talk really loud, but it's how we were raised. Like, sometimes I've noticed that I talk really loud, but it's because we have such big families that we have to talk really loud just to get over one another. It's just the culture. And when you say Asians drive bad or Chinese people can't drive, it's because in China, you have to drive that way just to get around the place, because otherwise you wouldn't get anywhere. And it's just the way they've been brought up, and it's their culture. And I don't think you should be prejudiced towards them just because it's their culture.
I do feel that when people think of Asia, they don't really think of India. I feel like India is kind of an afterthought. When they think of Asia, they think of, you know, countries like around China, things like that, and you know, might just be like skin color related. They don't really view Indians as Asian, which is interesting because I know that in countries like the United Kingdom, like when you ask someone what an Asian is, the first thing that they think of are Indians, and then like, I don't know, Chinese people, like they're not really in that same boat, which is interesting if you like when you compare New Zealand to the UK.
I want society to know that the Vietnamese culture is really beautiful. The food, the traditional clothes, it's so beautiful. Like the language. It took me a while to, you know, realize that the language is also it's aggressive, but it's unique. Yeah, it's unique. It's not like any other language.
I think growing up half Asian is a lot more harder. You don't necessarily fit in with the European kids, and you don't necessarily fit in with the Asian kids. Like, I think for me personally, like, I've been in both kind of social settings, and like I'm still like, even when I'm with my Asian side, like I still don't feel like I belong because I'm white and I'm classified as whitewashed as well. And then like with my European friends, I'm kind of like like their lifestyle is so different to mine, like the way my parents raised me and like the way my parents are with me. So there's a lot of like differences, and it's a bit hard trying to find out like where you fit in and where you stand with those.
It's like I've made it one of my life goals that I'll eventually become fluent in Japanese and retain my culture. It's something that I'm really proud of. It's something that's part of me, something that I've always grown up in, and something that I want to share with everyone around me. So as of right now, I've actually started to learn Japanese. I've been putting it off for like a very long time, but I think it's finally time to finally get my culture back.
I want people to realize that not all Asian people come from China. In the Philippines, we have such beautiful people that the Western media is yet to be exposed to.
I guess this is like, I guess it's Chinese, but it's also Asian in general. If you want to learn an instrument, you should do it for fun. You know, don't be so pressured by your parents. Take it slow. Just because your friends learn piano or violin doesn't mean you have to do it as well. Go learn a sport, go learn something else. Piano and violin do not make you an Asian person.
I appreciate now that like I'm different, you know, from others. I appreciate that I'm sort of the only Burmese that a lot of my friends know, and like I can share that culture with a lot of people. But yeah, like that's why from an older point of view, I'd love to go back and sort of regain all of that again.
I think it's such a cool thing how I can speak 2 languages. I think it's such a gift that I can go back to Korea and speak with family in the language they know. I don't really see it as
an embarrassment as such, but more as like an extension of myself.
My mum told me when I was very young, around kindy, my mum asked the teachers if she should speak English with me, and they said no, that you should speak Bangla because, you know, that will teach her to be bilingual, like it's gonna keep her like culture up and everything.
And back when we migrated in 2004 or 5, it's a really big risk especially for Japan, because Japan is not a country where a lot of people kind of leave. Not to a country like New Zealand, at least, where at that time it was still a very, very new country, nothing like it was today. And given that my dad, my mom weren't really fluent in English, must have been like a real struggle for them. But I'm really happy that they powered through, and all of my relatives in Japan are really proud of me and are envious that my family got to move to a Western country that speaks English.
I definitely feel lucky and blessed to be bilingual, just due to the fact that it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. You're able to converse with all sorts of different type of people.
I'm grateful because like I know 2 languages now, even though like I don't know Khmer well, but like I can speak 2 languages, so like that means I'm more open to options, I guess. Yeah, I'm more open to like different perspectives from like my Khmer side and my side in New Zealand, I guess.
Yeah, understanding where they come from and how they really have like made it to the top, I guess, by climbing their way up has really humbled me and made me realize that, you know, everything I have right now is a billion times more than what they had. And the fact that I used to be still trying to grab more, I guess, in terms of I want this, I want that, it kind of made me realize that, you know, I need to take a step back and be like, wow, like I have so much, and I don't, like, if my parents could survive with literally nothing, how, like, I don't need everything I have, kind of thing.
When I was younger, I was always, trying to speak English. When my parents spoke Chinese outside, I'd tell them to like quiet down because Chinese can be quite loud and other people were looking at us weirdly. But growing up, I realized it's an awesome thing to be bilingual or trilingual. At work, I work at the Auckland airport, and it's just so nice to be able to speak to these people in Cantonese or Mandarin, and they come in and they can't speak any English because I know how they felt like, because when I was young I couldn't speak any English.
I think growing up in a multicultural society here has really allowed me to experience different views and, you know, really embrace other cultures. And I think compared to a place like India, where like 90%, probably even more of them are Indians, you definitely don't get as much exposure. And I think in a world that's, you know, only becoming more and more interconnected, you could say, in terms of culture, having that sort of experience has been so useful.
So I was lucky enough to be brought up in a community where I was able to embrace my own culture. Like, my schools were always really big on cultural diversity and how beautiful it is to celebrate people and their backgrounds. So for the most part, the ones I grew up with were all open-minded, culturally aware, and respectful. So that makes me very happy.
You know, like, I never thought I would ever experience like this type of thing as a kid. My dad told me that some people who died on the boat, others would end up, I don't know how to say this, having no other choice but to eat others. My dad told me that at that point, people want to live. And you know, you didn't have any water to drink, so people would do things like that in order to live. I grew up all happy, La La Land type of thing. Like, I didn't think about that. The thing I stressed the most was not being able to like get the Bratz doll I wanted or any, like something like that. And so my dad told me that was for me, it was heartbreaking.
Basically how my Cantonese classes went was when I was 3, I started my classes and I just had like 3 hours a week. I'd go on for all the way till last year, in fact. And so it's been like 14 years, I think. I guess when I first started, I wasn't really that into it because I was a kid. I didn't really like understand why I had to do it. by taking Chinese classes, I feel like it helped me connect with more people, and now growing up, I can really appreciate knowing another language, being able to even speak to my grandparents as well. So I'm really grateful that I actually did those Chinese classes.
Hi, thanks for watching part 4 of What Does Being Asian Mean to You? I hope that you're enjoying hearing these guys' stories as much as I am, and that it's inspiring you to share your own. Keep on being proud to be Asian. See ya!